Hey guys, welcome to this episode of the All Things REI podcast. I got a fantastic guest here. We've talked a couple of times in the past, but it's been a while, so it's going to be a great catch up with Fernando Nunes. Welcome on the show.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Tom. Thank you so much.
Oh man, yeah, I'm looking forward to this conversation because we have a lot of things in common. We lift, we nerd out about
Yep.
certain things. You're also an investor, and you've done a lot of cool things in Portugal, and now multifamily and self storage. You're gonna have to tell me all about that. And I know you do also business coaching and self development coaching. I believe effing good
Yep.
growth coaching is what I've seen there. So that's a pretty sweet name. Your initials there,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm
Yeah,
excited
yeah.
to get into it.
That's where the effing good actually came from. So it's funny. People ask me about that. They're like, that's funny. That's good.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, kind of the inception of Instagram. You start, and this always happens. You go to try to find a handle that works for yourself, and
Hmm.
like nothing. Like, that's
It's
taken.
already
That's
taken.
taken.
Yeah.
That's taken. So I decided to be like somewhat tongue in cheek. I like to think I'm a pretty, modest, humble person, right? And so I thought it'd be funny to actually just be like effing good. Like I thought that was funny. And this is going back like, over 10 years, right? And it's just always been that. And now as I started to build my business, I'm like, you know what? Like this, it's actually not bad,
Yeah. Play into it a
right?
little
Because
bit,
like,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
and really like the who I've become in that time is really focused around like positivity and growth and like really
Hmm.
like using your mindset to kind of shape your world. And so it works really well, right? Because like it's now like the idea behind it is even like effing good life.
Hmm.
And yes, it's obviously my initials, but it's even if it wasn't like casual language, right? Like and kind of playing that out to be like, yeah, you can truly live that effing good life, right? You just have to choose to, and so it's worked well. Yeah, it's been good.
Awesome. A question for you: what does an effing good life look like for you, or what do you think it should be in general for people?
Yeah, it's funny because I was actually writing about this today a little bit. The I think it's so when I say balance, and I think people misconstrue what balance in life means. People think balance is like everything works perfectly.
Hmm.
Dan Martell actually talks about this. He's like, balance is like a myth, and Gary Keller talks about it as well in his book, The One Thing, where like you don't really have balance in life in terms of everything is always perfect all the time, right? It's actually
Hmm.
think of it these like oscillations. So you're going one direction, like you have to go hard into your business if you really want it to succeed, and you're probably just like laser focused in that. And the way you balance that out is because then there are other points where you're like your primary focus is all about your family, and because you put that work in your business, now certain systems are working, certain things are working well.
Hmm.
Now you put that kind of effort into your family, your lifting, right? Because if your gym sacrifices. Um, and so that's truly what actually balances. So don't think of it as like this perfectly level thing. Think of it like these oscillations that are kind of going within balance of each other. And so when I think of what that effing good life means to me, is that freedom, right? Where you actually get to get up every single day and choose how you show up that day. What are you going to do with your day? How do you get to live your life? And and that balance of spending that time because now you have this freedom, spending that time doing and building the things that really you're the most passionate about, mean the most to you. Because through that passion, I think comes success, and through that success comes, if people, when people are worried about it, the money, right?
Hmm.
So that to me is that complete package of that life and just living as your authentic self and getting to show up as yourself every single day is that's it, man. I can't think of a better way to spend a life.
Yeah, that's when you say living as your authentic self. It's sometimes difficult to do that, especially if you have your 9 to 5 and you're trying to do all these things, and also there's external pressures on you too, maybe, and or maybe you don't even know what's going on. I know I felt that before trying to work towards going real estate full time, but I know you used to work in the corporate world too, right? Did
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
did you find it was hard to be your authentic self while you were doing the corporate job as well, or how did you? Maybe a better question is how did you make that switch from the corporate world into being in business for yourself and living that life? Maybe we can kind of backtrack that way and get people the background, the lore on you.
Yeah. I forget where I heard this quote or this statement, and they were saying like, the movie The Matrix?
Of
They're
course,
like,
yeah.
they're like, it's not a science fiction, it's a documentary essentially of like how people live. And when you really think about it, like it is, right? And there's nothing wrong to accept this. Like some people are just very happy living within that program.
Yeah.
Everything in our society kind of programs us to be good contributors to society.
Hmm.
And I actually think there's a place for everyone within it, right? Because there are some
Absolutely.
people who that's what they want. They don't want to have the pressure of entrepreneurship or to like have to think of what they want to do next. They just want to show up, do what they got to do, go home, have their weekends, collect their paycheck, and like that actually is happiness in their life, right? So
Yep.
for some people, that's actually true happiness, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's perfectly fine. But for others, and to me, this started happening really when I guess I kind of decided to get into real estate investing, which was probably about 6 years ago now. And it was more around the people that I started to spend time with. And so the more you're around these people, and this is true, right? That whole adage of, the five people you spend the most time
Of
with.
course. Yep.
Um, and and that's true. Is like whoever you surround yourself with, like you start thinking differently, you start processing things differently. And so for me, that kind of became the beginning of it. And so the reason I say all this is to say that like up until that point, I guess I was just in the program,
Mm.
right? And like I was content enough. I was making good money. I was in sales. Actually, I guess by the time I started investing in real estate, I wasn't in sales anymore. But like, I was making good money, had a good position in a good company, nice title, right? People reporting to me. Like, I could have just continued down that
Yeah, you
path.
could have coasted, or you could have
A hundred
climbed the corporate
percent.
ladder a little bit.
Yeah, and I would have, and I would have had this very pleasant life, good income, like good again title. People would have looked at it from the outside and been like, "Man, that's awesome. You're doing really well in
Yeah.
life." And yet I didn't realize it. I did, and I didn't maybe accept it. How like I was dying inside, because from the time I was a literal child, I think the first time I thought to open a business for myself, I was like 13 years old,
Oh, so
and I
this
started
goes
like
way back being
designing
an
logos for
entrepreneur.
people. Yeah, yeah, it was just something inside of me that I'm like, this is like there's for sure more out there, and I need to do something
Mm.
else, and so it's always been there. And I started my first company even when I was like 21, and like so living that corporate life, it didn't feel right. And then I started hanging around these people and understanding like what I could do, what I could create, getting into real estate investing, starting to get that taste of that freedom and like what
Hmm.
could happen. I became unemployable, like really. And people always ask, like, what does that mean? What does unemployable mean? Like, oh, you just couldn't be managed. I'm like, no, no, I should take direction very well. Like, I'm okay to be managed. That's not the problem. The problem was that like I'd sit in these very expensive meetings to discuss very simple problems that don't affect the world at all. They affect our world within that particular company, but just
Yeah.
like honestly, like who cares?
Yeah. It's just shareholder value. That's all you're doing.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
like who cares?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
why are we even having this conversation? And the more time that would go on, like this would continue to happen. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I can't keep doing this. And so the more time that went on, yeah, I got to this point where like I genuinely can't do this. I have to get out of this. And that was kind of the first shift for it. So it was almost like an awakening,
Mm.
right? To realize that I had to stop fighting this vision and this dream that lived on my heart, right? I had to stop fighting it or just ignoring it and being like, later, later, later. Like when's later, right?
Yeah. You could kick the can down the road to eternity if you really wanted to.
And most people do. Most people do. People are always like one day,
Hmm.
right? And so when do you make it day one? And so that was it. And the interesting thing is, and this was my first lesson in manifestation, by the way, because this is like one of these things. Again, it's one of those these concepts that people have a hard time with. Sometimes, like, oh, don't get started on the manifestation stuff, man. Come on, don't start this. You were with me until then.
Yeah. We just
Now
lost
you're
all the
like,
viewers. I'm just
yeah, this
kidding. I'm
guy's
just
like,
kidding.
forget it, forget it. Like no one's listening. No, like here's what it actually is, right? And I'm big on this, trying to explain it to people in a way that sounds grounded in reality as opposed to like magic. I started putting into my head every single day that like I couldn't do this, like I couldn't live this life, right? I was like, I wish they would just get rid of me. I wish they would just give me a package and get rid of me.
Mm.
And to me, I decided that that package was my safety net to get out of there because it would give me time to build something, right? And every day I had that thought on my mind every day. So here's what happens. You show up differently. I showed up differently to work every single day. In fact, I started having conversations with like my VPs and stuff like that of being like, why am I here?
Oh,
Like
really?
these are the
That's
actual
pretty bold. Yeah.
100%. These
Your
are the
brazen.
conversations I was
Just
having. I'm like, why am I even here? Right. And I don't think that you have that boldness, as you put it, without that thought, just that was the prevailing thought that just I couldn't get out of my mind, is like, I wish they would get rid of me. I wish they would get rid of me. So guess what? You start showing up differently. And
Hmm.
about a year after that, guess what happened? Pull me aside and they're like, hey, listen, so we're gonna make some changes, and unfortunately you're not part of it anymore. And the funny thing is, like, the ego takes a hit for like a second. I'm like, what do you mean?
Right, but
And then I'm like, oh wait,
this is
this
what
is
you wanted.
perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is
100%.
part of the
Oh
plan.
my gosh, I've been asking for this. And then I get this big smile on my face. And I think it put them off a little bit of being like, dude, why are you happy
Yeah.
about
Who
this?
reacts this
I'm
way?
like,
Nobody.
yeah, yeah. I'm like, this is amazing.
There's the mindset already working, the positivity just trickling through, bleeding through.
Yeah, I'm like, I've been asking for this for so long, and now it's finally happened for me.
Hmm.
And that was my first realization of like, holy like, can I swear?
No, yeah,
We're
you're
good.
fine. You're fine.
Yeah.
Be your
Like,
authentic
holy
self, right?
shit. This is actually manifestation. And what
Yeah.
it truly is like this thing of like, you put this idea into your head, and so that's just how you start living it every single day. That becomes your new reality. And guess what? You start looking out for it. That's why I
Hmm.
started looking out for opportunities. I started trying to find what would I do when I left my job. I started creating a reality of what would happen after I left my job. And that became my new reality. I can no longer function in that old reality.
Yeah. Once you know how good it could be or what you
Yeah.
are building towards.
Yeah. Right. I was writing business plans, right? Like, I was writing my business plan for what I had coming next. And I spent a lot of time on that business plan.
Hmm.
And so I had a clear picture of what I did end up doing that thing, but that's okay. Like, at that time, that was my exit strategy, right? That was my comfort. Again, it was building that safety net to be like, I'll be okay. And so that was the switch for me. It was like, it was that reprogramming of the mind and realizing that there had to be more for me than just showing up every day and doing the same thing. And I loved my job. Like, I want
Hmm.
to be really clear. Like, I loved my job.
Sounds like you're good at it too. Yeah.
I was, I think,
Yeah.
until I didn't care anymore, and then I was probably
Fair.
really bad
Fair
at
enough.
it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was that shift became so important for me.
It sounds too like, or actually, I'll rephrase this. It sounds like in order to make that shift or have that trigger, you need to build that vision first. You need to essentially, I hate always just saying, oh, find your why, but you have to do something to actually get you in motion and get you going towards your goals with your coaching and whatnot. What do you see as the biggest stumbling block to people actually taking that first step to actually take action or you to begin manifesting? What do you have to
It's
do there?
um, it's the story they tell themselves, right?
Mm.
The story that we tell ourselves is it is our reality. Like, and a lot of people build their story from, where they've come from, their experiences they had as kids, or just growing up, or as adults. And so we let those stories now define how we perceive everything in our current existence, right?
Right.
And so that is typically the biggest thing that blocks people. And what I mean by that is that initially it is the thought of like, I couldn't, I can't, what if it doesn't work out, right? And
Hmm.
that's all part of your story. Because along the way, like, again, think about this as kids, as like toddlers. So think of little toddler Tom. Sure, was really cute,
I don't know.
run around probably like a bulldozer, right? Just like taking things out, right? As toddlers, as little kids, like, we don't have a concept of failure.
Mm,
None. We have no concept of failure. Everything is going to work out for us. That's why kids are always hurting themselves.
that's
They're
a good
like,
point. We feel
no,
impervious. We're indestructible.
yeah,
Yeah. We'll jump off the ledge and
indestructible. Like,
just
and
yeah.
like, you have a conversation with like a 3-year-old, right? What do you want to be when you grow up? My nephew used to be like a dump truck. I'm like, cool. Then you be
Yeah.
the best
Right
damn
on,
dump
man.
truck you can be, right? Like,
Right.
and so we don't have this idea of these confines, these constructs that are put around us. And then what happens is our parents are telling us, hey, don't do that. You're going to hurt yourself. Hey,
Hmm.
don't do that. That's not going to work out. Or you have these crazy ideas and be like, well, maybe don't do that. Do this instead. And then you start going to school and it's, don't do that. This is going to fail. Don't do it that way. You're going to fail. You're going to fail. You're
Right.
going to fail. And it's like, that's what we start getting fed constantly.
Yeah.
And so what happens is we start shifting the way that we look at ourselves in the world. We're like,
Hmm.
all we start seeing is risk. Everything is risk. And so when you get into this point of like being like, okay, how do I go to whether you've already taken the leap to build your business or you are just starting out, that's the biggest thing people are up against is that fear of risk, right? That fear of like, what if it doesn't work out?
Yeah.
The people that's there's a trait that I see in a lot of entrepreneurs, and there was a point before it used to actually drive me a little bit crazy because I was so stuck in my story.
Okay.
Um, and tell me if this is true. A lot of the most successful people that you meet probably seem completely delusional and sometimes like kind of a dick, right? Like because there's some people that maybe have never gone through this because they actually have their brain wired in this way that they actually never see failure. There's a reason that they say that like a lot of the most successful CEOs share a lot of tendencies with psychopaths. I'm not saying that they're psychopaths. What I'm saying is that they see the world in a different way. They
Hmm.
don't see failure. They don't see themselves as ever being wrong or failing. And that allows them to move quickly. It allows them to move without hesitation.
Mm.
And so that's where the growth and success comes from, right? Now, I'm not saying you have to be a psychopath to be successful in
No,
this
no,
at all,
no. I got
right?
you.
But what I'm saying is like if for those of us who don't maybe naturally have that or the fear that was instilled in us
Hmm.
was so heavy that we have that hard time taking that step, one of the best remedies for that is to start surrounding yourself with those people, the people who've done it.
Right.
Start hanging out at even if you've never started a business, start going up and hanging around like local small business meetup or like entrepreneur meetup or like whatever.
Hmm.
Just start hanging around these people because what starts to happen is you're going to reprogram your brain. Because now you have no choice but to acknowledge, hey, wait, look at all these people who went and did this and they didn't fail.
Right.
And you're going to hear stories about how some of them had bad experiences, some of them had great experiences, and some of them are just figuring it out. But the point is, they're figuring it out.
Hmm. Yeah, I've seen that too. If they can do it, I always think to myself, if they can do it, why can't I? Not that I'm thinking I'm better than them, but if someone else has done this exact same thing, it's the blueprint that you can follow to
Correct.
say, hey, this is exactly what could happen if you actually just stick to the plan or show up consistently over time
Hmm.
or do the work they need to do, whether it be on business or yourself, to actually get to that point.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Like, so, you have your meetups that you do, right? Where you tour people around some of your real estate
Hmm.
projects and whatnot. And I don't, maybe you do recognize this, maybe you don't recognize it, the value that you're creating within this real estate investment ecosystem around you. Because the people that are likely showing up to that, and you've probably seen this, are people who want to do this type of investment and just don't know how. So there's a
Yeah.
fear within them of like, I wouldn't go and do this on my own. So it's, hey, it's safer if I show up and I either do it with Tom or I learn from Tom and see how he does it. And I know you do this to really just inspire people and show people and create good partnerships and things like that. There's a ton of opportunity that comes from it. But
Hmm.
but what you're doing is you're actually giving people that proof, the proof that's undeniable, right? And that's a lot of times the remedy that our brain needs is undeniable proof because before that, when you're in your other circle, and I ask people that I coach all the time this, I'm like, if you think of your immediate circle, your family, your friends, because like the people I'm coaching are struggling with like how do you break out of that mindset? How do you grow? I'm like, do the people that are around you question you? Be like, are you sure you want to do this? Like, what happens if it fails?
Yeah,
Like, are
we've heard
you
all those sort of
sure?
people. Yeah.
Yeah,
And they might mean
those are
well too, because it's maybe a parent
correct.
out of love or a family member, but they don't realize that it can trip you up and stop you from actually reaching your potential.
Correct, because what they're doing is it's their own fears, right? Their own fears of like, oh my gosh, like I would never do this,
Hmm.
right? And instead of, and again, to your point, they are doing it out of love. They're doing it out of a good place for the most part, right?
Right.
Like if they knew enough to be like, that's amazing that you're doing it. I would be so scared to do it. That would land completely differently than like, are you sure you want to do this? Because what if you lose all your money?
You're right. Yeah, you
That
got to
sounds
phrase it
like
a
a
little bit better.
scam, right? Like you join a mentorship, people are like, you paid how much? That sounds like a scam. And and so that's their small thinking. So what happens is you're just getting these ideas validated that like, what if it fails? What if it fails? What if it fails? And now when you shift that and you show up to one of Tom's meetups, And all of a sudden, this proof is just in your face
Mm-hmm.
that, holy, this actually works out. People have figured out how to do this. And then you start spending more time around these people, these entrepreneurs, real estate investors. Your brain gets reprogrammed because it's no longer this thinking of these people that were kind of behind you being like pulling you back and being like, what if it fails? Reinforcing and instilling that belief in you that there's a good chance this is not going to work out.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, you're now surrounded with people who made it work.
Yeah, and they're maybe even pushing you towards
Yeah,
your
come
success.
on, let
Yeah,
me show you.
yeah,
And you ask a question. You're a little timid. You're like, well, but how would I make money with doing this? You're investing in the US. But what about the tariffs? And you're like, yeah, not a problem.
yeah,
Like this is how we're solving that problem. But what about the exchange rates? And you're like, yeah, not a problem. This is how we solve that problem, right?
right.
And so that first they start challenging you with some of those thoughts and questions, and then you're like super comfortable. You're like, yeah, it's not even a big deal. It's just this.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden now they start softening and they start asking different questions, right? And it's because their barriers kind of breaking down a little bit to be like, oh wait, maybe this does actually work. And then the longer they're around it and the more validation they get to it, they start to believe that it can work. And so if you want to make this change, whether it's getting into real estate investing, starting a business, getting into weightlifting, like whatever it is, you want to do it, just start doing. But if that's too scary for you, just start hanging around with the people that do it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You want to start getting in shape. Sorry, Tom. You want to start getting into shape. Go to the gym. Don't be. I know it's scary. Don't be scared of everyone. Legitimately walk up to someone and be like, "Hey, what does that exercise do?"
Yeah. Go to the biggest dude around too, and they're usually the friendliest people.
100%.
Yeah,
Because they love the
yeah,
fact they're like, "Oh my God, this is
yeah.
amazing. You're
Someone's
coming
actually
in. You're
taking
gonna
an
learn."
interest. Holy cow! Yeah,
Yeah, and then all best friends,
yeah.
right? They will take it under their wing. They'll be like, "I will show you everything."
Mm-hmm.
So just start hanging around those people, and it will change your life completely.
I guess the next question would logically would be for some people, and even myself, I think about this too. Where do you like to go find these people, these mentors, or do you say, like you said, go hang out with the groups, go go ask for referrals through your network? What do you normally tell your students that you're coaching here? Maybe it's niche too, depending on their industry. I should preface that too.
Yeah, and listen, so yes, I'm a coach, but I tell people this all the time. I'm like, find someone, it doesn't have to be a formal coach that you're paying someone or that you're paying them for their coaching, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, the reason that that actually works out is level of accountability. If you're paying for something, especially like decent money for it, you're like, I better listen, I better put the effort into
Right.
this. Sometimes when you just find a mentor, it's so easy to just discount them off and being like, nah, I don't want to hear what they say.
Yeah.
So that it does make a little bit of a difference, but a mentor is just someone who is found success in that space, and they don't have to be someone who is so distant. Like you and I have people in our circle who, when we are first starting, they seem so distant to us, right? They've created tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars of wealth,
Mm.
and you're like, again, you and I have done some different work, and so like we're not intimidated by that. We're like, that's cool, that's
Yeah.
inspiring.
I want to be like that person. Yeah.
Yeah. But for the
Yeah.
person who's very first starting and who's maybe really timid, it doesn't have to be that person. It can be the person who bought their first rental property,
Yeah.
just figured it out, right? It can be the person who's like is still working their full-time 9 to 5 job, but also started their business they've been super passionate about. Like mentorship comes in all kinds of different stages and all kinds of different layers. So to
Hmm.
find the right person, I think the most important thing is one, can you build trust with this person? Is this someone who, when you speak to them, when they speak to you, that you think that they're operating with genuine intention?
Right. Yeah. Not taking advantage, giving it to you straight, all that sort of
Yep.
stuff. Yeah.
Yep. Because that rapport is going to be incredibly important because of what I said earlier, with being able to discount someone's advice. So if it's too easy to just dismiss what someone says, it's not going to help you grow
Mm.
because in your brain, you're just going to constantly reject it. So find the person who you actually believe that can have that rapport with, that you can have that trust with, and you feel is operating authentically. Um, Now there's also trust, but verify. So verify that what they're saying is actually true. Are they a person that actually has this success?
That's a great point. Actually, I've experienced that before too. When I was first beginning, I'll be honest. I didn't have enough confidence in myself, right? And so I was looking for anyone at all that would give me the time of day within real estate. And I thought this one individual was somebody, and it turned out they were essentially scamming. Oh, pretty much. And it was just a hard lesson to learn because I was a little too naive and I didn't trust but verify. If I would have asked around, I probably would have found out that this guy didn't have the best intentions. So
Yeah.
that really resonates with me because I tell that a lot now to people. It's like just because they look great on social media, good, but like just double check, make sure you actually know who this person is on a personal level before you cast your lot in with someone else, or even
Yeah.
partner up as a business partner or something like that. You know?
Correct,
Yeah.
correct. And I had a similar experience when I decided to first get into this, and I brought
Mm.
on a mentor, and it seemed great. And yes, this person's incredibly inspirational and like says all the right things, and then and even if you did the background check, you're like, yeah, the experience is there, right? But do you ask around at how they operate, what people actually think of them? How does people that have done business with them
Yeah.
maybe
What's
and
the
kind of get a sense
reputation?
of
Yeah.
what that looks like, right? And then trust your gut becomes the next part of it. Because of what happened with this particular individual with me, as an example, I started to get this inclination like, oh, this person is saying one thing but living a different way,
Oh, there was no
right?
congruency there.
Correct. Yeah, they were like, act this way, live abundantly, do this, like, and then acting like the most scared child in the background of losing what they had. And I'm like,
Oh
you
man.
start to pick up on these things, right? So you're like, oh, okay, so
Hmm.
are they again operating authentically? And that person did cause a lot of damage to a lot of people. I was good enough to actually catch on to it again, trust your gut, and be
Hmm.
like, oh, this is not the right person, and be able to back myself away from it. But other people didn't. They got caught up in the almost like the I hate to say the word greed, but really that's what it was, right? Like fast money. And so
Yes.
they
And
look at it and like, yeah, when a rising tide raises all ships. But guess what? When that tide goes out, there's a lot of beach ships if they didn't know what they were doing.
absolutely.
And that's what happened, right? Like so someone and I think I'm big about talking about this now because as it relates specifically to real estate, like the tide is rising again. And you're going to see all of these people come out of the woodwork who all of a sudden are coaches and mentors and everything like that. And again, what they are is opportunistic.
Right.
They know that this increasing market is going to make everyone look good and everyone look smart, right?
Yeah. You got to be dumb to actually lose money when you buy so low right now at the bottom.
Yeah. And
Right.
everyone's going to look like a genius. That's why
Yeah.
you're going to have those people come out, well, I bought 5 years ago when everyone was scared. Okay, cool. That's good. And so yes, you know some things, but don't use it to be like to teach bad habits, essentially.
Hmm.
So to summarize all that, make sure it's someone that you can trust, right? That you have that rapport with. Trust but verify. So that means check on the credibility of this individual and kind of their history. Ask around. Don't be afraid, by the way, as well, to actually ask them straight up, hey, who else can I talk to? Right? Who
Yeah.
else can I talk to
Yeah.
that you've maybe actually worked with in the past? If it's a more formal mentorship, right? We're actually paying them.
Hmm.
And then trust your gut.
I
Trust your
like
gut.
that. That's trusting your guts. Probably one of the biggest lessons I've learned in the past couple of years
Hmm.
in business.
Hmm. Hmm.
Did you have to trust your gut? I guess, and this is my version of a segue to have to jump across and then start investing in Portugal, because you've done real estate, but jumping across the entire ocean, that's quite something else. Or did you have to again work on your mindset first before you could get to that level? How did that all kind of shape up in the real estate game?
Yeah, so the Portugal thing for me is like it's more like a passion project, right?
Okay.
And my background's Portuguese and I want to have property there. Like that's
Hmm.
my biggest thing. And really it's around a connection to just the culture and the environment, the ocean, just the way of living there and the way of being there. I want to just create spaces for people to go and enjoy and experience that. That's where it started from.
Hmm.
There's some realities that hit when you're doing business in other places in the world that, they don't necessarily do the business the same way that we do here. And so those are some of the lessons that you have to learn along the way. But I guess it wasn't really scary for me to go and do it just because, um, I'd already learned kind of what to do here and how it operates here. And then once you do that, like, buying real estate or starting a company, like almost anywhere in the world is the same thing. It's just, do you know how to play their game? Do you know how to do it their way? Right? Do you know the rules that you have to follow? So you have to find the right people. You have to find the right people to tell you how to like legally do things, how to
Right.
like
Yeah. How do you set up your
do
structures? Yeah.
how do
How
you
do
do
you?
taxes, right? Like, what are some of the regulations? Like, is it even worth me setting up a business over there versus just having one here that invests over there? So, like, there's a lot to learn. So it's a process. And I think as long as you take those lessons and really just, you know, you're not emotional about it, but you're methodical about kind of your steps and your process, and you're patient.
Hmm.
Don't rush. I've seen people rush into things and not realize the tax implications that happen, or that, you go to do things a certain way and then you get there and like you can't, like as an example, you buy a property and there's certain rules. We'll use Portugal as the example because you brought it up, but like certain properties that have been built uh, before a certain date, you can't actually structurally change the building,
Oh, like
right?
a historical designation kind of thing.
It's not even historical. It's just I think it is more related. Like, we don't have the plans for this place anymore, so like you can't touch it,
It's
right?
so
Like, you can,
old that it's yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I think you could technically apply to tear it down, but like you couldn't just like move a wall here or there, add this addition. Like, you have to be very careful how you do things, but some people don't know that. And
Mm-hmm.
so they don't realize what they're getting into because they don't know how things operate there. And so they just buy something. So that's the part where I'd be like, don't be impatient. Spend the time, get to understand what you're actually doing. Build your team if you're going to do investments internationally, and it doesn't matter if it's Europe, South America. Have your local people who can tell you, hey, this is the way things operate. Again, follow the rules that we gave you before
Mm-hmm.
about, can you do business with them? Trust but verify, and follow your gut,
Yeah.
right?
Same playbook. It sounds like.
As to whether this is the right person for the right people for you to work with in that market. And that's it. That's really it. There's nothing. Like, again, you're investing cross border. You're investing in the U.S.,
I am.
right?
Yep.
So you tell me, like, what did you do to help get you through that mental barrier? Because it's still a different country. Forget that there's water between here and Portugal. It's still a different country. It's a different way of doing things.
It is. It is different in a way. I'll say it's in most areas it's actually superior than at least in Ontario.
Hmm.
Um, Full disclosure for people listening, and I don't know if I remember telling you this, but I actually work in the States already. So I was kind of already at least used to Michigan and US culture a little bit. And I already had my social security number, which means I already had my foot in the door, building credit. I already had my bank account set. And I was already used to kind of dealing with the tax crap, having to pay taxes to Michigan and to the IRS, and then taking my tax credit and going to the CRA, and then the CRA every single year auditing me every single year, just saying this doesn't add up.
Yep.
Come on.
Yep. Yep.
but but yeah, I guess the place that we started was talking to people within Wealth Genius, going through the network, getting referrals for people to be our lawyer, to be our accountant, and then we set up a bunch of meetings and we just distilled the information. So I talked to one guy, and based on that conversation, then now I have a little bit of information I can take to talk to this guy and actually intelligently ask some other questions.
Hmm.
And then I kind of cross-reference each other. And I'll tell you though, the tax portion of it was probably the biggest hurdle. And at a certain point, me and my brother said, you know what, screw it. As long as we have a GPLP structure, which is what you need, we'll figure out the rest because we're wasting too much time. So we just got our accountant to make and our lawyer to set up the structure. We made it happen. And then now we're finally doing our taxes coming up. And we'll see how that worked out. And if it didn't work out properly, hey, we'll modify the structure where we need, add another
Right.
LLC here or our C Corp there, and then we'll be golden. But that was the biggest hurdle. But I think what scares a lot of people is not the taxes; it's the fact that you're investing in a whole different country and it's not at arm's length. You can't go see it and touch it sometimes if you're investing in Cleveland or friggin' Florida. You actually have to trust people to do the work for you or go down there to understand the market before you invest there. So I think that's the place where people get caught up. It's the fear, like you're talking earlier, just all the questions. What if this happens or what if that happens? It's not okay, and this could happen, and we could do this. Like you have to
Exactly.
change and say and instead of but everything else.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I love that statement that you just made, and I'd love to come back to it after because it's such a big thing saying and instead of but. It's a big theme that I try to impress on people. But
Hmm.
um, I my property's here, so I'm in Southern Ontario. I'm about an hour outside of Toronto, and my property that I have for the most part are in Thunder Bay, so it's a 20-hour drive north for me.
Yeah.
Right,
That's
like I
quite a
could
ways.
literally drive to South Carolina in less time than it takes me to get to Thunder Bay.
No way. I guess, yeah, you're right.
100%.
You're
It's a
right. Yeah.
17-hour drive. I've done it before. It's a 17-hour drive to South Carolina,
Wow.
right? Where I'm looking to invest in or I'm looking to buy some storage properties.
Hmm.
It's a 20-hour drive to Thunder Bay. The flight is about the same time. So if you're okay to invest in like, a 5-hour, 6-hour, 10-hour drive away from you in the same province,
Hmm.
or if you're listening to this from the US in the same state, right? What what is the difference from just doing it across border? It's just knowing what you have to do there. So what is the difference of doing it across an ocean? You just have to know how to do it there. You just have to have the people in place. So from a mindset perspective, that is all it is. It's 100% just in your mind.
Mm. I
There's
love that
nothing
frame
else.
shift. Yeah.
There's nothing else. Know the right people, like find the right people to do it and inform yourself and do it. I love the fact that you guys are like, you know what? We probably messed this up, but we'll just come back and do it later. It's
Basically.
the
Yeah.
whole like ready, fire, aim,
I
right?
use that exact saying all the time. Yeah. You just gotta, at a certain point, you just gotta do it
Just do it.
and accept the
You're like, I'll figure it
consequences.
out
Yeah.
later. Like,
Yeah.
don't do anything illegal,
No, no, no.
right? I want to be
Big
clear.
asterisks. We're not lawyers or
Yeah,
accountants
yeah,
giving you
yeah,
legal
yeah.
information.
We are not advisors in this way. Where you cannot give legal or tax advice. Maybe not even life advice, honestly. But like, but the reality is that like, yeah, some stuff. Make sure that should be one of the first questions. Is what I'm doing illegal? No, it's stupid. Okay, cool. I'll figure out the rest later. Right? Like that's all right. Take action. Take action. Action will trump everything every single time. Because if you sit and wait to get it perfect, you're never going to do it.
Hmm. I agree with that 100%. And I also heard, I forget where it was said. I'll butcher the quote, but I'll paraphrase instead. It's that the people who think and they plan for ages just to make one decision and or build their business just get outpaced by the person who fails multiple times in a row but learns. And by the time you made that one decision, they've made 12 and they've far already surpassed you, or at least they've learned a bunch of lessons that you're still going to have to learn yourself anyhow. So why
Correct.
not just fail forwards? And maybe you
Correct.
won't even fail. Maybe you'll succeed. It won't necessarily be a failure. You just got to keep moving.
Yeah.
And that momentum is contagious too. Personally, for me, just a small win here, or like you learn from something there. It's like, oh, sweet. Okay, I know. Let's keep going. Let's keep hitting it. It
Yeah.
really does help push
Mistakes
you.
aren't failure, right? Like, you said like maybe they'll fail. Um, I think it's an important distinction for people to have, and I talk to my clients about this all the time. Like mistakes aren't failures,
Mm,
right? There's a big difference. To me, the only way to fail at something is to stop doing it.
I like that.
That's literally the only way to guarantee failure is to just stop, because then you've quit. Well, then you failed at it. Everything else is just figuring it out.
Yeah, a learning opportunity.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Everything else. I did this wrong. Oops. Okay, well, how do I do it right? This way. Okay, cool. Next thing, I did that wrong. Oops. Right? You figured it out and you just keep going with it. Now, this is where mentorship and coaching comes in is having that person who can be like, "Hey, dummy, don't make that mistake. Like, I already made it for you."
Hmm.
So that's where having that mentor comes in and is beneficial to you. But don't waste all your time trying to find the right mentor and then never take action, right? Just like at some point, just do it. You can watch as many videos as you want, read as many books as you want. The analogy that I've given a lot of people lately is like, maybe it's because the baseball game is on right now, but like the, you can read as many books and watch as many videos on baseball as you want, but until you pick up a bat, you're not a baseball player. You have
Mm,
no idea what it feels like to try to hit a ball. Doesn't matter how many videos you've watched about it and the timing of it and like the exact right time to start your swing and read as many books as you want about the science of it and reading the rotation of the ball and like you could overanalyze the heck out of this and understand everything. You might make a great coach because you understand the game so fundamentally,
right.
does not make you a good baseball player. The only way you get good at playing baseball is to just pick up the bat and swing.
Hmm. You have to put the reps in.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Just go
Yeah.
stand in there and like have the ball thrown at you. And eventually you're going to figure it out. You're going to get better at it. That's the only way to be good at it. To just stand there and read about it isn't going to do anything, right? You're not going to ever get any better at it.
Yeah. I think. Yeah, I get that. You put that in words very well. You just have to keep plugging away, showing up over time. Just keep learning.
Mm.
Do you find maybe this is going back to the back to what you're saying, back to what we want to come back to about and but? Do you find a lot of times people get in their own way by saying but too much before they can keep taking that action?
Hmm.
Do you how do you get people out of that cycle? And maybe we've kind of already touched that now that I'm saying it out loud. You have that mentor to help you along, but
It's part of it. But again, and I'm going to sound like a broken record because I always keep saying, mindset, mindset, mindset. And mindset is
mhm,
such a broad term, right? But it's about your perception of just life and your reality and how you choose to see it every
mm,
moment of every day, right? You have a choice in how you want to see your world. And when you look at this, and I've spoken to people about this, and even recently I had someone who I admire is quite successful, really beating themselves up because they'd created, I think, their second company. They created a company, it had gone reasonably well. They created their second company, was going really well. Didn't feel fulfilled or satisfied because it still didn't really feel like completely theirs. And they
mm,
were like, I want to go build this other thing. And they were beating themselves up because they're like, but why? Right? Like, why do I want to go and build something else? Why do I feel unfulfilled? And I'm like, why does it matter? Right? Like, you want to do it. You want to go and build this thing. You look at someone like, Richard Branson. This dude's got like a bunch of companies,
mhm,
right? It's not like he sat there and went, wow, I've already done pretty well with Virgin, so it would be selfish of me to go and create this other company, right? Like
right,
he's just like, I'm gonna go create this other company because it makes sense. A lot of times there's synergies involved between the companies you're creating. So there's nothing wrong because what we do to ourselves is we're like, again, it's that guilt, that shame, that little string that pulls us back to those people trying to hold us in a box, right?
mhm,
That'll be like, you should just be happy with what you have, right? And so what people say sometimes is like, oh, like my business is going so well, I feel good about it, but I want something more, and that it's the but that's playing games in their mind, right? I feel
right.
like but I want something more. The but is where the shame lives. I should probably put that on a t-shirt. The but is where the shame lives. But like, it is like the saying, but I want more makes you feel guilty for wanting more,
Mm.
right? As opposed to if you're like, I've built this amazing company, I've done super well, and I want to grow it bigger, right?
That sounds
I have
fantastic the way you said that. Yeah.
Yeah, I have an amazing relationship. I love my partner so much, and I would love for us to have a stronger relationship, right? If I were to
Right.
replace that and be like, I love my partner so much, everything's great, but
Yeah. You're like, oh
right,
shoot, what's
like
coming next?
go
Yeah.
ahead, say that, guy. Anyone listening to this, go ahead, say that to your significant other right now. Turn around, go to them, and be like, "Hey, sweetheart, I love you, but," and look at the look on their face. The second you say the word "but," look at what happens on their face.
Yeah.
Guaranteed, it will not be a good
They're gonna
time for
get
you.
pissed. Yeah.
Yeah, guaranteed. The outcome will not be good for you. If you survive to say the second part of that statement, that's fantastic. If you were to say, "Hey, sweetheart, I love you so much," and watch them light up,
Yeah. They'll be
right?
they're waiting on the
Because they're
next
excited.
word
Of
to drop.
what?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and right. And so like when we look at our life and our success in that way, it's such a shift, right? I've built a $10 million real estate, business, and I would love to grow it to 100 million, right? I've built this amazing company, and I would like to build this second company that I think would support it really well. It is such a shift, and it's such a simple, they're literally switching out three letters. And it's such a massive shift in the way that you perceive what you're saying. It's
Yeah.
shifting from a place of shame or of guilt that you're putting on yourself, saying, but to this place of abundance of and I want more,
Hmm.
and I want a bigger life, and I want more peace, and I want more success. Right? What's wrong with that? What's wrong with saying and
I
all
don't
the
think there's
time?
anything wrong with that at all. I like that too. What you're saying there. I wonder. I'm just talking out loud now, thinking about it. I was comparing in my head as you're saying Canadians versus Americans a little bit. It seems like sometimes in Canada people get like tall poppy syndrome, and how come that guy's so successful? What did he do that? Like it's almost like a jealousy, or it's a, oh man, just be content where you're at. Kind of almost, I feel like that's more the British way, right? Just keep calm and carry on. Just kind of just be,
Mm, modesty.
yeah, modest and kind of keep it all in. Don't show people how well you're doing or try to do too well to outshine others. But meanwhile, in the States, I'm thinking, yeah, that's the exactly what they say. And this, yeah, all the business owners would say, and we're doing this, and we're expanding, and good for you. Like I can see what you're doing. Congrats. Oh man,
Yeah.
yeah,
That shift into and is a huge difference, man. It's a
yeah,
game changer.
that's a game changer indeed. Speaking of states, though, you mentioned North Carolina or South Carolina,
Yeah, both. But
both, I
yeah.
guess, both. Are
Yeah.
you doing not multifamily, but you're doing self storage down there, or at least you're starting to look into doing self storage? Is that what I was hearing?
Yeah, yeah, we talk about the lessons, right, in investing in other countries.
Mm-hmm.
It's, investing in the US, especially in commercial, is there's some things to know, right,
Mm-hmm.
as a Canadian. Um, and so I've been looking in the US, kind of southeast US. Texas keeps coming up for me. I don't know why. I've had a few properties that we put under contract and just didn't work out for various reasons, usually in due diligence. But
Right.
self storage as an asset class overall is something that I'm pretty excited about. Now, let me preface when I say excited to like I want to be clear. I don't look at the tin boxes of self storage and be like, oh my God, I've always wanted
They're
one of
so
these.
beautiful.
Right? Like I've never been like, oh man, I wrote this down in my journal when I was like 9 years old and I've always wanted to own a tin box. Like never have I done that. But it is such a strong asset class, performs really well. The ability to automate the systems that you can put into it, fits really in. So going all the way back to the beginning of our conversation of what kind of life do I want to build, and this life of freedom to be able to kind of be able to operate wherever I want to be. Um, it's the type of thing that with the systems that you can put in, you can manage it with very little time involved,
Hmm.
right? Especially once you have your people involved and whatnot. So it's very conducive to the lifestyle that I want. It's protected kind of against economic shifts, I think, better than a lot of asset classes, not all of them, right? But it's protected.
How so? Is that just because people always need stuff to store, regardless of ups and downs, or
I mean, that's part of it. It's one of the last things that people will typically cut out when economic times get hard, right? Because you think about it, like and actually in a lot of cases, times get tough. People have to downsize their homes in some cases, right? So they will sell their
mm,
house or move to a smaller house. But their stuff, with the way they look at that is like, oh,
uh,
I don't want to have to go buy all this stuff again, right? Or like there's
right?
emotional attachment to some of it. So they're actually more likely to hold on to that stuff because they think this downsizing is maybe temporary, or maybe they're moving, they have to get a new job because they lost their job. And so they're going to be moving across the country and so they're putting their stuff in the storage. So like that's like a small part of it. When I say that, it's actually because you're constantly kind of adjusting the prices that you're charging for people, based on what the market bears.
Mm. Based on just supply and demand availability.
Yeah, yeah. And so yes, in some cases where you know what times are tough, so prices are going down. Yes, you're gonna have to put your prices down, and again, you have to make sure you're operating strategically in that way to make sure you're still making money, right? But then as prices go up, you're not waiting to like a year till your lease is up, like you're doing in multifamily, to be
Hmm.
like, well, I can't wait to increase this 3%, right? You're
There's no
like,
cap, right?
yeah, and they're like, oh, rent's doubled this month. Guess we're charging double. And so like that benefit of being able to move with the tide a little bit, is really attractive to me as well. And then there's other parts like no running water. There's
Less things to break, essentially.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That's where the tin box becomes attractive, right? There's nothing inside of it aside from people's stuff. So
You mentioned about automation and automating the self storage. I know you're big into tech and kind of self-proclaimed geek a little bit too, right?
oh yeah, 100% nerd.
I love it.
Wear it proud.
Very loud and proud. Have you been able to use that at all, or leverage that side of your geekiness to put that into self storage, or at least made some plans on how you would automate, or are you planning using AI, or how are you trying to make this more hands free so you do less and have that freedom lifestyle that you want?
Yeah, no, the beautiful thing about that is like, so we talked about mentorship. I actually joined an investment community or coaching community around self-storage investing.
Oh wow, nice.
And the beautiful thing about that is, again, now you're surrounded with all these people that already have these systems in place. So self-storage has actually already lended itself to these types of automations, has for a long time, right?
Mm.
We're talking about a customer journey where someone can go to your website. So optimize your SEO, make sure that you're getting to the top of the search results. That's where most people are trying to find you now anyway. So you get there, they land on your site, you make the attractive offer, they see what's available all through the backend systems that are already tied into your actual booking system part of your facility. So they see what's available. They're like, yep, that's the one. They can click on it, they can book it, they can put in their ID, they can verify it all on the website, they pay for it. Automatically, system will send them an email being like, hey, thanks for signing up. Welcome being a customer. Here's the code to access the gate. Here's your unit number. Here is the code to access your unit. And it's actually just like the app on your phone, or go, please download this app and you'll be able to access your unit. So now what happens? You show up, you put in your code in the gate, you drive up to your unit, you put in the code, you open the door. Um, we can put like thermal sensors even inside so that you can see someone's entered, someone's exited,
Oh
right?
wow,
When they
nice.
come, when they
Yeah.
go. You can get alerts for all these things on it. So someone can move into your facility, never touch them. Nobody has ever spoken to these people.
Completely hands free.
Completely hands free. They could be there 6 months, 8 months, 3 months, 5 years. Doesn't matter. They're in there. Their prices or their rates are getting adjusted
Right.
accordingly as time goes on. Like everything is just taken care of. Still never interacted with this person
It's probably
as
on
long as they're
auto
paying
pay
their
even.
bill.
It does,
Yep,
yeah.
correct. It's
Just
on
keeps
auto pay
going.
on their credit card, which they did on the first interaction on your website. It's done. So as long as you're receiving your payments, everything is good. Let's presume it's a healthy journey and everything is good. They're like, hey, I want to move out. Everything's changed. I don't need this spot anymore. Now, some owners will actually put a bit of friction in there because you don't want to make it that easy to move out necessarily, in case it's a way to retain them, just in
Hmm.
case they're moving out for price or anything like that. Um, but let's say that you're in a busy environment, you don't care about because you can just refill this thing back up in an hour. You could again think if you ever return like a U-Haul, right? But like in your storage thing, you could kind of go into the app, be like, I'm moving out. Okay, no problem. Once you're done, sweep out your unit, take a picture, upload it into the system. You take your picture, you upload it in. It's like shows that it's approved. Again, AI is like the image, and like, yep, everything looks kosher, everything's good. Close the gate, lock changes, right? So the code no longer works to get into your unit. You're out, you're done, you're signed out, you're not allowed to get into this thing. You take your stuff, you drive away. An hour later, someone else can move in because this thing is automatically showed back up in your system
Oh,
and
nice.
it's available. Someone else can just move in. So when you talk about the automations and things being able to be put in place, like this, the industry itself is already set for it. All the tools already exist.
Mm.
Everything exists. The cool thing that I think that AI is going to shift is the little bit of interaction that you might have with people. Someone calling in and being like, "Oh, the gate code's not working. I don't know what's going on." To be able to have the AI basically be able to log in and see, is it a system issue, and then dispatch someone to go deal with it if it is a system issue that
Hmm.
needs an actual dispatch, or it's not an issue. They can take a look at it. They can just reset the code, send them, or like do a voice thing back with them, being like, "I've reset your code. Please try this code now instead."
Right.
Or I'll send
The
you an
AI
email with the new
chatbots.
code.
Yeah, yeah.
Correct. And so like that's where I think it'll shift is it's already you can already operate these businesses with very little people involved. And I think that the next stage is where AI is going to help from a call center perspective because most of these calls are actually very, very simple. And so the logic for it won't even be difficult. And I actually know a couple companies that are already working on this of call center automation through just using AI chatbots essentially. So that'll be the next step in it to make it almost like a peopleless existence and system.
Completely.
Yeah,
So that I'm assuming then you're looking for properties or self storage that are the mom and pop shops who haven't had any of this integration yet, or are you
correct.
building them completely new?
No, I'm not interested in building right now. I'd not say at some point in the future I wouldn't be.
Hmm.
There's a ton. There's like over 70,000 facilities in the U.S., right? So
Also,
it's
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 ripe
a
for the picking.
oh yeah, yeah. And
Wow,
and right around it's just under 70% of them are still owned by mom and pop operators, right?
that's actually a
So
huge
it's
stat. I was thinking it'd be more like 50-50 or something like that.
yeah, no, it's
Wow.
it's it's still close. It's close to 70% of them are still owned by mom and pop type operators. And a large percentage of those are going to be unsophisticated. So I shouldn't say mom and pop, like non-REIT. non-REIT owners, right? So you
Hmm.
might have some people who own 30 facilities and still won't show up as a REIT. So, but a lot of them are going to be like non-sophisticated. There's no website. I've seen lots of them where you go to look around, like they don't even have a website. Like it's 2025. Like this is even if someone drives by your facility, they're probably not popping in to see if you're available. They're likely driving by and pulling up open on their phone and being like, let me see what this place charges, right? Or
Exactly.
they get home and they check it later. So there's a ton of opportunity still for acquisition in that market.
How the hell do you find these properties if they don't even have a website? I guess that's when you physically go down there. You're looking for brokers, or I just thought about
That's
that.
the
Like,
secret
how,
sauce, man. That's a whole other episode. Now see
okay,
this is me. You got to get on another call, and I got to teach you the ways of storage. But
yeah.
there's a ton of different ways of doing it. Um, you can do like skip tracing through, so you can find which businesses are actually listed exist.
Oh
As an
yeah,
example, you can
the U.S. is
honestly
a lot better
sometimes
for
you
that.
can do a Google search and you can still find there's a storage facility there because someone has reported it. Doesn't mean they have a website. Like you click on it, there's no website, but there's still a storage
Gotcha. Just be like a
facility.
phone number or something. Oh, okay,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
gotcha.
It's a
Yeah.
phone number. It's like a Yahoo email address, right? Like, so it's really unsophisticated, but you can find the existence of it, and then you can do other searches through. The U.S. is great for this, where so much of the information is really public, right? And so you can find all the facilities that exist. In some cases, you can do skip tracing and find the owners. You can build through brokers. That's another great thing that I tell people to do. They sleep on all the time because they're like, there's no good deals on the market. It's like, well, on the market is one thing, but coming through a broker does not necessarily mean it's on the market. To me, on the market
Hmm.
means just sitting there on the market. Spending time and building relationships with brokers is a great way to have deals sent to you because as they know these things are coming up or as they know that you're particularly interested in a specific area, they can go and canvas that area for you, right? So,
Right.
building relationships through brokers is a great way to start having these leads sent your way as well.
Interesting. No, that makes sense because they might have the inside track on a
Yeah.
specific area or specific market as well, and then you don't have to go down there yourself necessarily.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and sometimes like it's so I've had people who have done like wholesaling in residential real estate and they try to do it in uh, commercial real estate and specifically in storage.
Hmm.
And they're like, man, it's so much harder. And I'm like, yeah, it makes sense. You're also dealing with a business owner, right? Not someone who's making an emotional decision of selling their home.
Hmm.
You're talking to a business owner who you're talking about potentially buying their business from them. And they will get 5 or 10 of these calls a day of people just being like, can I buy your facility? Can I buy your facility? Can I buy your
Right. They're
facility?
getting spammed. Wow.
Yeah, 100% letters and calls and emails, and no one cares about them as a human being. They're just like, can I buy your facility? It's so transactional, right? So now this is where the advantage of the broker part comes in as well, because now the broker shop, it's literally his job, his or her job, right? To be like, hey, listen, I have someone who's actually interested in buying specifically
Yeah.
in this area, and they asked me to come to your facility to have a conversation with you.
Hmm. That means you're probably pre-qualified as well. You give some more
Yep.
confidence to the seller or the potential seller.
Yep. So whether it's today or in the future, let me know. Now,
Mm.
the seller doesn't get as pissy about this because it's like this person's job is just to come in and do this, right?
Right.
Or to reach out and have these conversations. So like there's a few different reasons why I think working through a broker sometimes is beneficial,
Hmm.
but yeah, it's I think people sometimes sleep on that opportunity.
Yeah, people need to use all the resources they have at their
Yeah,
disposal, and
100%.
that's definitely one that sounds like it
Yeah.
actually works.
Yeah, and I mean it doesn't stop you from cold calling, right? Like you can put 2, 3 brokers to work for you in the markets that you want and still cold call and right and still do all your 100 or 200 cold calls a day to the different facilities.
Absolutely. You kind of already mentioned the way that maybe AI is being integrated and things like that, but you had a quote, I'm a part of a quote I'm going to take for, I was creeping your LinkedIn earlier today.
Perfect. Love it.
And it said that you're always looking for the future's future. Um, what excites you most about like right now in this day and age, where you're headed or where you see things are headed in the real estate side of things?
Oh, I think there's still a ton of opportunity today. Um, I do worry, and listen, I'm not going to introduce scarcity into this. I've just had this full conversation about being abundant and being abundant.
Hmm.
I do legitimately worry, though, for future generations of what. opportunities they will have to get into real estate themselves. And the reason I say this is because I think that people are looking for real assets like it, because we're starting to see how other asset classes, stock markets, cash, even crypto and stuff like that, how difficult they can be to predict, to regulate,
Yeah,
to
it
understand.
can be volatile or
Yeah, the
inflated way
volatility
beyond
of
what it
it.
should be, like Nvidia.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Right. And then real estate does the same thing.
Hmm.
But I think with a real asset is like, that's why we're seeing so much institutional money shifting into it, right? Why you're even seeing certain REITs just buy up a ton of just single family homes. I think that's part of it. I also think that as we continue to have population increases in our as our population continues to grow more, um, urban density is going to continue to grow more as well. And so I think that's the other reason that these REITs are like buying up all these houses. So yes, they can run them as rentals now, but it's more about owning the land that's under it.
Right. To one day build.
Correct.
Mm.
Right. The only thing that we're going to be able to do in pretty short future is go up. And so I think that's what the play is. And so I think that right now is still an amazing time to get in. There's a ton of opportunity. I think my kids will maybe still have it, but for folks that have like really young kids right now, I think it's going to be really, really tough and competitive for them to try to get into it on their own. So, whether it's something I guess I'm excited about that still because like I think that we're still in this incredible window of opportunity right
Yeah.
now.
You
I
can
know that
still
we
take
like
action and take properties down. Yeah.
correct. I know we like to look at it now and if you survived the last few years and it was messy, right? You're probably sitting there and being like, or if you watch the last few years, like, oh, thank God I didn't get into real estate.
Yeah.
But the reality is like there's still so much opportunity in it right now. And I genuinely don't think that this window will stay the same for very much longer.
No.
I think it will hit a point where like right now, it's attainable for anyone. And I'm not just saying that, like literally anyone. This is attainable for them. It will hit a point where it is only attainable for some. And so if you've been kind of like on the fence about whether or not to start, start. Start small, partner up with someone, learn from someone. People ask me this all the time as well because I do some coaching on not on real estate, but that investment community, the self storage investment community that I'm a part of. I do some work with them as well,
Hmm.
and so I'll have people who are onboarding to the community, and they'll be like, "I only have like 20 grand. Where should I start?" I'm like, "You started in the right place with coaching, because now you've put yourself into this community of people who are like-minded. They're going to help you in your growth and they're going to offer you opportunity for partnership.
Mm.
So you don't have money, but maybe you have a ton of time. You're young. You don't have like a lot of things tying you down. And so you have a ton of time to go and find these deals, analyze these deals, bring good deals. Guess what? People with money want that because
Absolutely. They
they
need that
they
young
don't have the
guy
time.
to come in
Yeah,
and be the be the guy
they don't have
doing
the
everything,
time,
be the active investor or
right?
sort of active. Yeah.
If you're like a surgeon or like a lawyer and you have your own practice and you're charging $500 to $1,000 an hour in some cases, that's your billable time. Are you really going to take a break from that
No.
to go and learn how to do this?
No, you've already
Or are you
become
going
an
to be
expert somewhere
like,
else.
yeah, absolutely. That's where you're gonna leverage what they have. And so right now there's that opportunity, I think, for literally everyone to go out and find that community, find your people, even if you don't know where to start, to find that mentor, find that person that can help you get started. Surround yourself, like we were saying earlier, with those people so you start thinking differently. So your reality starts shifting around you until you realize what is possible and how other people have done it with little to no money. And guys, I'm not selling anything, right? Like if you think I'm gonna go into like this now sales pitch of being like, so buy my course. No, like that's not what's happening here. This is the realistic truth.
Yeah, you're being
Is you
honest.
can do this with very little of your own money, if any, as long as what you bring is the attitude and the drive to go out and build it yourself, right? To go out and do the hard part of it. The money will come to you. You can go and find that money and bring it to you. You just got to provide value to people. That opportunity still exists today. And I'm very excited about that for all kinds of people, for myself included. I do think that that window will close at some point. And so I would say if you're on the fence about it, just do it now. Take action.
Yeah, we got a couple decades left of this gold run, if you want to
And
call it that. Yeah.
that's honestly what I'm thinking as
Yeah.
well, right? Like it's probably not much more than that with the acceleration of everything. Like
Hmm.
it's curious what will be left.
Yeah. I not to have my tinfoil hat on, but you hear about the thing by 2030 they want us to own nothing and be happy. But I think that was there's some truth to that too. They want to be able to have all the property themselves and then rent it out to you and then be the ones controlling all the assets and the money. So you do see certain things tightening up, at least in Canada. I was reading the news saying anything over $10,000 cash is going to be criminalized if they pass this bill through. And they're also tightening up mortgage requirements, which is actually fair though, because there's a lot of people who have already become underwater because of the interest rate changes. But just things like that alone, the tightening of your qualifications, that's going to be maybe tougher for you to get your next single family house or your duplex. So you need to change your strategy maybe and go into self storage or some sort of commercial where then you can kind of get around the residential side of the owning real estate assets. At least that's one way to potentially still stay in the game. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I try to be careful with wearing my tinfoil hat.
Yeah.
Listen, a lot of things out there do make sense. Maybe I have like a wax paper hat. But it's like there's balance in everything, right? I think that even when you see these governments, and it is happening everywhere around the world, right?
Hmm.
Where you see these governments essentially saying, "Hey, listen, we're going to control everything, and you're going to be happy about it because we're going to give you this cute little life." There's a lot of people who are part of that thinking, again, who are well intentioned with what they mean by it.
Yeah.
What they see is this like separation being created between people who can and people who cannot. And they're like, well, the only way to stop that is if we control the prices of everything,
Hmm.
right? Because then we can make it affordable for everyone. So this is like the good that's sold to you is like if we control it, we can control the prices that it's sold to you. We can make it affordable for everyone, right?
Yeah.
But that all that does is keep you as a prisoner.
Yeah.
Go back to the
You become the
analogy
sheep or
that
the,
puts you in the
yeah.
matrix,
Yeah.
right? That puts you in the matrix. Because now you have to live exactly how they want you to live. You have to do what they want you to do, how they want you to do it, own exactly what they want you to own, which is nothing,
Yeah. Have your
right?
social credit score tip top.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then whatever you say or do that doesn't conform with what they want in their society, they can take any of those things away from you. So that's then the risk in it. So I think that there's some people who have this thinking of like this is good for society and their thinking is well intentioned. What I think that they're doing is putting a lot of faith in their trust and they haven't verified
Right. It's a
those
little
intentions
misguided.
yet, right? And so there is a risk to that. When you start losing the ability to hold assets for yourself, there's a lot of risk to
Yeah.
that. A
We've seen
lot.
that throughout history, but that's another reason why personally I jumped over to invest in the States. Not only because it's a little bit more landlord friendly, but they respect rights a little bit more. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And uh, they seem a bit more impervious to some of the socialistic tendencies where the government does take back control of certain things. So I'm right there with you. Not to be pessimistic, but it's just as long as you see the playbook or you can brush up on a little bit of history, then you can protect yourself and your family, and you can let other people know as well. And you're not actually that big of a crackpot for thinking these things, despite what they might
Yeah,
be
no,
told. You know?
you have to look in reality. And like I said, like I try to find the balance in everything, right? So
Yeah,
like I get
it's
where it's coming from.
mhm.
I do. I get where it's coming from. It's just a
But it's
question
not
of
doom and
like
gloom. Yeah,
is it the reality that you want, right? What are the impacts to you, right? So again, we talked before, like there are some people who are perfectly happy to live in that existence, and that's fine. And
hmm
then there are others who are not okay to live in that existence. And those are the ones that you hear making all the noise about it because they're like, hold on, I don't want to be part of that program. I want to be able to control my own program, right? And I think that's where, again, taking that action, because you never know when these things are going to shift. So that's why like taking action today, fire before you aim, like Tom did, right?
yeah,
Is so important because if you keep waiting, if you're young still, let's say you're in your 20s and you're like, I'll figure it out when I'm in my 40s. Guess what? When you're in your 40s, the opportunity might not be there anymore because you never know what's going to shift.
Yeah.
And so if you take control of it now in your 20s, you will get to control your future. You will get to dictate how you live your life. You will get to control what you control,
Mm-hmm.
right? So this is where it's important to do it now. Don't wait. Start now. Take action.
Take action. That really, I think we've covered a lot of topics. That really brings it all together back to the mindset about not saying but saying and, taking
Mhm.
action, not letting the fear get in the way. Is there anything else though that you've learned? And this will be my last question for you. Is there anything else you've learned that's a big lesson or mistake that you've learned from throughout business or real estate, throughout life, that you've learned from that you think other people should learn from as well? If you could mentor someone listening to this podcast right now that you've learned some big mistake, is there anything else that maybe we haven't covered yet that could be of useful information or a lesson? And if not, that's okay too. If it's all mindset,
It's
totally
not that it's
cool.
all mindset like in just that way, but I think we've covered so much of it that it's just like it's a lot of what I mean, this has been a fantastic conversation. And I think that so much of it has already been in there, which is one, don't wait. We just talked about this, right? Like if we were to kind of summarize this, if I were to go to my younger self, if I were to go back and I could visit my 18, 20-year-old self, it would be like, don't believe the story that you think is real, right? Surround yourself around the people that are doing the thing that you want to do to prove that it can be done and to learn how to do it. Don't wait, do it now, right? And I think and don't wait to do it perfectly. Again, just do it now. And I think if you follow those, call it 4 or 5 things, depends if you want the way repeated, don't wait 2 times to kind of 2 different things or one.
Yeah.
But I think if we look at those like 4 or 5 things, like that's it, man. Like that is legitimately the blueprint to get started in life and to be successful in life. Everything else will come along the way.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do those 4 things, if I go back to like 18-year-old me, those would be the 4 things that I would teach. That would be like, absolutely do this,
Yeah.
right? Let go of your story, find the right people to put yourself around, take action today. And I forget what the fourth one is right now, but like, but
That's the
those
core. Yeah. The
that
core
is the
mantra that you
core
need
of
to
it,
keep telling
right? That's the
yourself what
core
to
of it.
do.
Yeah. To just build a completely different life for yourself.
Fernando, I love this talk that we had, and it's been too long actually. We should have done this sooner.
Yeah, for
But
sure, man. Let's do it again.
yeah, we should. We definitely should. I think there's still other topics to talk about. We could talk about lifting for a whole podcast. We could talk about more mindset. I'm sure there's so many things. And
100%.
then, but I want to ask, and I'll put this in the description, but where can people find you? Where can people get in contact with you? What's the best way?
Yeah, the best way is probably through Instagram. It's where I'm the most active, which is just at effing good, like we talked about on Instagram. Um, yeah, that's probably the place where I'm most active. You can also go to my website, effinggoodlife.com. All my contact info is there as well. So happy to connect, whether it's on real estate coaching, just mindset in general. Man, I just love helping people. It's actually why I got into coaching in the first place, realizing the impact that I can make and hopefully how we can help people change their lives, and really just get out of their own way and instill those 4 pillars that we talked about to really make a difference.
Awesome. Well, Fernando, thank you. I really do appreciate your time. This is a great conversation. I didn't realize how long we've already been talking. So thanks for sticking with me. And thanks, guys, for listening in. Make sure you comment, like, subscribe. If you got a question for Fernando, drop it in there as well. And then we'll have to have you back.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Tom. Thank you so much, man. It's been awesome.
Thanks again. No, this is fantastic. All right. Take care, guys.